becomes very hard to play out for Fred and Brian, especially with GENG seemingly, at the very least, returning to the form where weaker teams basically get to not play the game at all against them.
Yeah, you know, we know Dom and Kia for doing that, especially last year, but even in spring, obviously. But GENG were the other team that were very well known for just stomping on the teams that they were much better than. And so, again, just another reason to kind of want to see that as a GENG fan, or as a person who thinks that GENG should be at the top of the rankings here. As the Bonk is going to get banned out again, definitely don't want to let Lol King Lava get his hands on that one.
And I think this is a really good pick because one, Lee Sin is an incredibly strong jungler at the moment, does leave the Xin open, so Xin Lulu now available, which I would honestly love, provided that you do keep some flexibility there, you know, so maybe pick up a hyper carry as well. But also picking away from Rascal, not even clear, it's Rascal's Lee Sin that I am terrified of, Valdez, because that is not something you ever want to deal with. And I think Rascal is a player, and I also said this when. Oh. I love how the production as well is like goes to ruler and it's like no,
it's never gonna happen.
Never. I can't believe they would taunt us like this, because of course ruler's not playing Ziggs. That will be a first. As the Ashe does get locked in. Ashe, I think, great blind pick, works well with basically everything. The one criticism that you can have is that it has a lack of damage. And yes, I know the Varus is still a relatively high prio pick, but I really believe that putting Ruler on something that can actually kite out those fights, like in Ashe, is a lot better look for them, right? Ruler's Varus, it was okay, but it never felt like he had the impact like he did on a lot of other picks. As Hoya gets his now, going to be very happy, has been target banned repeatedly throughout the split. And this would allow you to lock in the Rakan, Live's second favorite pick, with the Leona being banned. And this is also a Live favorite. Might still be a flex though, can possibly also go to BDD. For Rascal, I don't imagine you want to play settings. That doesn't sound... Actually, I guess you can. Like, the value of the pick post-laning phase is good, but it's not great, you know?
Yeah. Still, point stands. Can be flexible. Lulu ban here.
Nice.
We're not going to see that alongside the Xin Zhao. That's definitely something you want to deny.
Just lock in the Seraphine here, GENG, for BDT.
Who's that?
Just do it.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Well, I will be fine with the Karma as well. Karma Ashe is a lane with an incredible amount of lane pressure.
What if they ban... Oh, never mind.
What if they...
Ban Karma and then they pick Seraphine? That would have been great, but...
I don't think it's very likely.
Not going to happen.
Next patch, Sona might come back as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, 11-16 has a lot of spicy businesses. Okay, I'm loving this. Really big fan of this into the Gnar. And also, again, a pick with a lot of ability for Rascal to influence the rest of the map. And still, we don't know where the set is going. It's, of course, Life is an incredible set, but you can also give it over to BDD.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I like how metas in League of Legends, it's like a cycle. Sometimes we become full circle and we're back at Gnar versus Kennen yet again. This used to be a very common matchup, I think in 2019, I want to say. There was a time where it was like, okay, you know, Gnar versus Kennen, very common. And now we're getting it back, especially with Kennen making his way back into the meta. Rakan picked up for Delight, and we're looking at Rise here for Lava.
It's going to be Z, isn't it? It seems...
Hey, it could be Orianna.
It seems so inevitable.
You got the Kennen, you know, you have some nice wombo combo, you have a great ball carrier.
Yeah.
Pick up the Orianna. It's a little bit more fun than the Azir, I think.
Is it really?
I'm a little bit biased because
I know you like.
I was
Orianna.
A two-trick with Orianna, but yeah, I mean it's great into the matchup as well.
Oh, it's really good
to the Rise. Like it's just perfect, and I'm, you know, Fred and Brian are just wishing that we were maybe 1 or 2 years in the future where we'll have 6 or 7 bans, if that ever happens. Because then they could have banned away the Orianna. Was a pretty obvious one that was coming.
Yeah. That works really nicely. Gives you a nice spread of damage, AP versus AD. Have an AD jungler with 2 AP side lanes. Obviously, as you pointed out, multiple great ball delivery systems. You can set up really nicely for Cannonals, or Cannon can set up for really nice Oreo. It works both ways. Do you think that the skirmishing power that Fred and Brian have here does allow them to get a little bit more done? And they will always, no matter what the game state is, have a wombo combo that is terrifying. Rakan, Gnar, and Ryze is a combination that I'm always going to be a little bit apprehensive of. But then I look at this team fight come from GENG, and it's not like they don't have early game power. Zed, Ashe, Xin Zhao, Cannon in of itself, especially once he hits 6. Not too shabby.
Should be fun. I'm expecting a little bit more fireworks in this game. I'm hoping for it. I'm trying to will it into existence by saying this, and maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. We're going into game 2.
And otherwise, we can reminisce about the wonderful things that Fred and Brian has brought us this year. You know, because they have actually been a team that has been the source of a lot of our greatest upsets of the year.
Absolutely. They took down Damwon Kia. That was the first big one at the beginning of summer. Everybody was like, this isn't supposed to happen to Damwon Kia.
Yeah, but I think because they did it in spring as well, right? Didn't they? Was that spring? I think that was why it was so shocking. Is because they were doing it to Damwon in spring, when Damwon was so much better and barely lost to anyone else. I mean, spring has been a while. Maybe I misremember. I know they definitely did it in summer, but I seem to recall they did it twice, which makes it even better.
Yeah, they did it at the beginning of summer.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, it was twice.
So, yeah.
Like, that's the insane part, right? And I think in summer, it's weirdly enough at that point in time a little bit less impressive because Damwon Kia was actually looking a lot weaker.
Yeah. After getting to Game 5 of MSI Finals, by the way. Just want to throw that in there. I think
you should.
It's it's an interesting discussion about Damwon because they were so incredibly dominant that the fact that they went to Game 5 in MSI was still somewhat of a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, how can you rate that performance when they didn't win? You know, they come on.
Yeah, I mean, they won Worlds. Like, shouldn't they just win MSI automatically?
Yeah.
Isn't that just the way it goes?
This is what happens very often as well. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't actually happen very often.
Okay, we're going for a play here, level 1 set, doing some fun stuff, and they get a lot out of this bottom lane, especially out of Henna, who has to cleanse and flash.
And that's real bad. Because you know the meme about, it's set, he's just going to use his flash level 1, or level 2 maybe if he's feeling feisty, and he hasn't used it, he just walked up. And that's really bad, because that means as Henna, you need to play so far back. Like, you have no pressure in this lane whatsoever. They're going to be calling for Umti, maybe can you pay us a visit? Come help us out. But look at his pathing from Clit. Has gone for a very aggressive bot side oriented pathing. Has hit level 3, but only done the buffs and the Gromp.
And they see Umti as well with the Hawk Shot. This is the other thing about Ashe is, like, you can put on pressure in lane and you can protect yourself and make your jungler's job easier.
Yes, Clit. Go over to the dark side. Just gank. Oh, he might go for the 1v1.
There is a ward here.
Nah, gonna just go for Scuttle. That's a lot of. This is now not great anymore because now he's lost a lot of farming time and he's going to be considerably behind in his clear. So it's an attempt to take a risk there by Clit, and it doesn't quite work out. It's going to get double Scuttle though. Oh, yeah, does connect.
Lava does not care. Clit will move on over here. They saw that the Lee Sin was down on the red buff, but Rascal with that priority up on the top side, still going to come on down, make sure, sees everything's cleared up in the top side of the jungle here for Umti, who did go for just a straight up full clear minus Scuttles. And that will be that. Bottom lane getting a little bit easier for for Fred and Brian because Life did leave here at level 3, went for a back for himself.
We actually have less action than in game number 1 because we don't have the dive.
True. So far.
So far.
It
can still turn around. And honestly, when level 6 is hit with these two compositions, I expect that to be a lot of fireworks. But up until then, get to take the time to leisurely explore the possibilities. Rascal is...
Never mind.
They know Clit is topside, right? So they don't really know where he is. They know he took the scuttle. But if he backs, then there might be a window there. If he didn't back and he's sitting in the brush on topside waiting for a gank from Umpty to counter, then you're in deep, deep trouble. Cleared. So he's going to be able to do a full clear. He got the double crab as well, and it's actually... It works out quite nicely, right? Now going to be able to also clear his Grump, then back, have a great first buy, and then his jungle camps will be synchronized yet again if there's no playmaking opportunity. So able to, in the end, just be fine as he will be making his way down bot side again. Flash still available and not there for Hannah.
These junglers about to come head-to-head potentially as Umpty is down here, but the dive is coming through. Life with the great base breaker, but with the teleport coming in, you see that GENG cannot further commit, and that's just going to be a failed dive here. Great response from Fred@Brion, and they will pick up the first blood in the bottom lane.
And that is just awkward timing there, because Clid was a second away from spotting Umpty there. And if you know Umpty is there, that play never gets made. You know that the teleport is available from Lava. But must have made a misread on where Umpty... And here you can see, like, you feel safe because you placed the ward down there, right? Like, Clid just walked there, but the moment that Lee shows up, you see Clid, Ruler, immediately disengage from the play. Teleport as well does get forced. And with that exhaust, no opportunity to maybe get the kill and then still get out, just sacrifice life to try and get a 1-for-1.
Yeah. And
that is going to be an early gold lead here for Fred@Brion, with the kill also being picked up by Lee. So Umpty going to be able to skirmish the rest of his team, hopefully, into more leads around the map.
Yeah. BDD was waiting to potentially teleport down to the bottom side. He could have easily matched Lava's teleport, but as you mentioned, by the time they saw Umpty, they just called off the whole play. They're like, nope, okay. Unfortunate, but, you know, just going to have to take a loss on this one. BDD holds on to his teleport, though, so see if maybe he can make some plays elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, just cut your losses. I'm not 100% sure. I think he was still level 5 as well, which, of course, also influences it. Not 100% sure. Might have just been 6, but in that case, there is no window. Even with 6, you know, it's a bit of a strenuous one. And I love that response there from Fred@Brion, because it is also what I feel like was kind of lacking in game number 1, where it was GENG, admittedly, not making that many moves, but the moves they were making weren't really ever getting answered. Felt like Fred@Brion was just sitting there and then getting punched, and they were like, okay. And then not a lot going on, unfortunately. So a nice early game gold lead, but top lane, of course, going great for Rascal. He's been having the 1v1 experience of a lifetime, and as Canon into now, you can be very happy about that.
Yeah, he's just doing his thing up there. Hoya once again, forever alone. Not really having much fun by himself. Although Umpty did, you know, he showed his face one time. He didn't actually go for anything. But it is what it is for the top laner, Fred@Brion. GENG able to pick up that Cloud Drake.
Like, just clear that ward. Come on, Umpty. You know you want to.
Yeah, well, you see that? I mean, there's no teleport here for Lava. He is going to Realm Warp his way into the lane to get a little bit closer to clear out the wave. We do have the Rakan coming up here.
Oh, no Mega Bar available, and there are all the ultimates for GENG. I don't think you can contest this as Fred@Brion.
Lava is going very far forward. Really wants to take this one as Life is going to get engaged, but so is Lava as in they go on to him, and the Wombo Combo comes through. That final Q from Rascal will finish off the Rise. And that should be enough for GENG to secure this objective. Although I think it did get leashed, so they will have to start this one up again.
Do you think that's fine? The only slightly worrying thing is that Hoya can now build a Mega Gnar bar. But shouldn't be the end of the world. Everyone is now going up, and there is still a Slicing Maelstrom. Don't know if you can do this, Fred@Brion.
Yeah, I mean, Rakan's not even level 6. That's a really nice ultimate onto life. He is just barely going to walk away from that one. And even if you do get life, not 100% sure if you would actually commit to that with the Rift Herald so low. So everybody on Fred Brion comes up. They're not able to get anything done. And they even lose one of their players for it. So GENG in a pretty good spot, able to take that Rift Herald.
And while I like the idea from the play for Fred Brion to not give up objectives for free, you can also argue that maybe they should have looked to just cut their losses, shove in, get a plate or two, and then you can kind of offset, because I think this initial contest, while somewhat greedy, can maybe work out. But once Lava is gone, I think you just let it go. Keep Hannah in that bot side. Just let him shove it out, right? He's Varus, he has great wave clear. Can try and get as much damage in there as you possibly can. And still threaten a little bit, but not actually try and look for a play there. Because unfortunately, with GENG's positioning there, as well as the fact that Slicing Maelstrom from Kenna was still available, means that it's so hard for you to make a play.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And it's a lot of time spent by Fred Brion up on the top side of the map, not really getting too much done by the end of the play, regardless of the idea. As you see, they are invading now. They're going to get some vision down, but that is about it. Not looking for a dive at this point in time. Things will just continue on. The gold's even for now, but of course, Glid is holding on to that Rift Herald, so might look for some plays, as 0 plays have gone down so far in 11 minutes, Chronicler.
Why are you saying it so chip about this? Are you,
you know,
are you trying to incite a response from me? Because it's working.
Stating the, it's the state of the game at this point in time.
You're not wrong. It is...
Hannah got pretty close down there, not going to lie.
Almost got the plate.
This one up in the top side too, Hoya, yeah. A little bit of minion chip damage onto that one.
It's a worrying state of that one plate, you know? It is something that... Fred Brion, is this really what you want your game to be? No plates at all. Then again, the same can be said for GENG. Also no plates. So at least they're not taking plates together.
Yeah.
Which makes it...
a team game.
Oh.
The two teams. Yeah, the Chains of Corruption comes out, and Glid kind of just laughs at him, holds on to the Crescent Guard. He's like, all right, I mean, what are you going to do with that now? Literally nothing. And now, GENG trying to hold on to position here as Ruler will go bot and push in the wave. There is the first plate of the game. Goes over to Fred Brion. And now, Ruler in a little bit of an awkward spot here. He does have the flash. He is going to hold on to it just barely. As the Rise not quite able to bounce. Here comes Delight, though, looking for the engage, trying to get onto anyone he possibly can. It will be the Xin Zhao.
Look at Rascal.
Is going to go for that Crescent Guard and gets knocked in. Big shockwave now, and Rascal is looking for the flank, but now Ruler, once the energy comes up, he's going to go down as well. But immediately a couple of kills traded back into the pockets of GENG. And BDD has a very healthy mana bar at this point in time. They're just going to be able to kite them down. Umpty trying to run away here. As thinking about the Q coming in here, he will go for it. Smites it, tries to get away, and now Rascal will go for the Slicing Maelstrom. As they're trying to chip down Rascal with a bit of damage from the help of Henna as well. And it looks like GENG will give up on the chase, finally.
And it took a while there. With Ruler already that low, it is a hard one to play out from GENG. Also, whereas Hoya teleported right into the middle of the fight, took a lot longer for Rascal to actually show up. When he did, it was beautiful. Unlike this Rift Herald that was very close to timeout, will be able, I think, to pick up a play or two.
Yeah.
So, so that is something at the very least. But massive fight down. Nicely played by Fred Brion, who are looking to try and kind of either find everyone in one combo or drag it apart, right? Don't give these big AoE ultimates too many ways to actually get a lot of damage done.
Didn't look like Ruler picked up any of that gold, which is a bit unfortunate. Would imagine it went all to Glid.
Yeah.
So, not great. Would have liked to have some of that gold on your 80 carry, but it is what it is when you go for Rift Herald play like that.
It's it's a weird time in League of Legends where AD carries are generally either going lethality, in the case of Varus, and we've also seen some other variants pop up, albeit much less popular, think Caitlyn, Sivir, or they go shield bow and steel caps and wit's end. And just a desperate attempt not to get dove into absolute death. And it's an interesting transition, I think, with also utility picks in general, like the Jhin coming up a little bit more. To see that the response to the dive meta that we had earlier is just build tanky. Ruler playing very greedily with his flash here, which works out initially, but I actually really like the call from Fredabrean to then go in here. Would have loved for Delight to play it a little bit more aggressively. I think he goes for the flash grand entrance. There's no way that they're able to actually get away from him. And that might provide you with the immediate team fight win. Instead, it becomes much more of a messy fight, but the damage is already done. And yeah, at this point, I like Umti's great escape attempt. As Rascal...
trying to get on top of Rascal here, and that will be enough with the help of the Realm Warp and the rest of the team. And that is a huge amount of pressure up onto that top lane. Ruler gets a free bottom lane, though, so just an extra kill into the pockets of Fredabrean, and they should be able to pick up this Rift Herald as well.
It's actually really nicely played by Fredabrean. They pick up first Turbo Blood for Hoya, getting him further ahead, already a 20 CS lead. And then are also able to find the pick onto Rascal due to great use of the Realm Warp. And this is something that teams, I think, collectively have gotten a lot better at, is actually utilizing these windows where the Rise ultimate can allow you to make big plays in the side lane. Even in this case, like Rascal obviously reads the play, right, because he's already close to his tier 2. But it's too late, right? You need to know it very early on, especially with Lava already level 11, as Ruler is just gonna ash it out. It's like, nope, no, I have volley. I don't want to engage you at all. Yeah, here you go. He knows. Doesn't matter. It's just very straightforward. And this is one of the reasons, I think, why the Lee Sin is such an incredibly potent pick right now. It's the skirmishing power and mobility. This is a Lee Sin that was basically winning that 1v1 against Rascal. And if he plays it, you know, a little bit slower with a kick and he gets a little bit more damage in before he goes for his Sonic Wave, then then he's probably fine, which says a lot about the strength of the Bruiser itemization that we have at the moment. And also, of course, about Cannon's team fighting prowess. But when it comes to just straight up all-in 1v1s, not the strongest champion.
Yeah. As long as it's a 1v1, maybe you can get something going if you're able to chip them down a little bit first.
Yeah.
If it's 3v1.
Generally not what you want.
Yeah, not going to have a fun time, unless maybe you're Nuggery, but that's a different story.
So point.
Yeah.
On the table.
And it's Infernal, so both these teams going to be heavily trying to make their way onto this objective. Umti just hanging out in the pit for now. Not a bad idea. You can always hop out if you need to, as long as you have a ward or an ally nearby. Let's see how Fredabrean react to this. How much pressure they'll put onto this. Really nice Everfrost. It might not save him, though. He has to flash to get away from that one. But now Ruler's all alone here. He does have life nearby, and the damage is not enough. Ruler will have to flash away to get to safety. But now Shield Bow's down, his flash is down. Hoya doesn't even have to teleport. He's getting another free turret up here in the top lane while this is all going down.
And the timing here is really important, because that pick on Ruler might have felt bad, but I'm pretty sure that GENG still would have been able to contest the Drake. But now, you're in a situation, and I love the immediate response, because what do? Now they send BDD to the top lane, right? He's the one who's now going to answer Hoya, because he still has his teleport available. But this limits the opportunity for GENG to be flexible in who they want to put in which lane. And two summoners are going to be down, and into a Nod that still has his ultimate available. Getting the cleanse and the flash is so huge, not to speak of the Rakan, of the chains, of the CC that Rise provides. So now all of a sudden, the top point fight a lot harder to get for GENG, and loving the play from Fredabrean. Very aggressive, very proactive here in this setup for the possible soul point.
Yeah, just feels like maybe Edgar, maybe a bunch of the players on the team have really just identified what they want to do with this composition. And it's been the name of the game from minute one. I suppose maybe they could have been a little bit more aggressive earlier on, but other than that, they've had an identity. They've been making it work so far. This Infernal should go over to them. Yeah, they're not able to get in range, but here comes the slicing Maelstrom. It is going to be exhausted, and immediately Klid's getting low. Rascal has to go into a stopwatch. He's going to go down, and Umpty not even going to get traded for it. You see the shield on the life here. He has to flash away, and Breon very much in control of this game. They pick up the Infernal, and they are running with it.
Some jumbled calls there from GENG, because while Rask was like, go, go, go in, he gets immediately exhausted. So a lot of the damage that the cannon normally provides, not relevant at all. The kicker is, Brewer can't really walk up because he doesn't have a summoner, so then it comes down to BDD. But it felt to me like BDD was saying, guys, they got the Drake, we're trying to fight desperately here for an objective that isn't there anymore, and it doesn't really work out, because look here, right? Like, BDD is so far back and doesn't ever get into a good opportunity to use the ultimate. Bruder isn't even there either, and clearly not everyone on GENG on the same page, and now you're kind of forced into this half fight. Life has to expand his flash as well, and it's not the end of the world, but it's exactly the type of cracks that are now starting to show for a GENG that has a lot riding on this match for Breon.
Yeah.
Might be the final match, might not be, you know, maybe we're going to game number 3, but for them, there's no pressure. There is just, see what we can get here.
Yeah, I mean, again, the only pressure for some of these teams that are, you know, this is going to be their last series. The players want to perform as well as possible, try to give themselves a good chance of potential contract negotiations for next year and stuff like that. But other than that, they're playing for pride, you know. And as you mentioned, there's zero pressure, basically, outside of that. They're just trying to play their best. And GENG, they saw it happen yesterday to Live Sandbox. They don't want to live out that curse from what we saw from that matchup. Feels like the curse of Live Sandbox from spring. Definitely do not want to see that again. And yeah, I mean, GENG aren't out of this game, but again, it's, you know, game 1 was so smooth. There wasn't really much action, but it was all GENG all the way. And now all of a sudden, it's like, well, what happened? Like, how did you get behind here in game 2 after a pretty good start?
And I'm incredibly impressed with Hoya's pressure on this knob. Because you might look at the 0-0-0 and go, well, yeah, he hasn't done anything yet, right? But it's a really good example of how KDAs don't always tell the full story, except Umpty being amazing, he is. So
unless you have like a 6 KDA, then you're like really cool, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it's all that matters.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, if you check my OPGG, right, like 20% win rate, but 6 KDA.
Yeah, it's what matters. You know?
Yeah. Anyway.
The key thing of what Hoya is doing here consistently is drawing pressure to himself, and I mean we also saw him force a bunch of summoners on multiple members of GENG repeatedly. But I think that's one of the main reasons why GENG, unlike the last game, don't feel like they're in control of this game, because they don't have a very clear answer. As mentioned previously, I don't think there's anyone that reliably beats Dinar in a 1v1 scenario. Rascal, who did really well early, has now fallen behind considerably, is sitting on basically 1 item, whereas Hoya now has completed 2. And it is also the Sterix with a Stride Breaker, which is just an insanely strong spike there to hit. And then maybe later in the game, once Rascal gets some more burst, gets some shred potential, he might feel a little bit more comfortable. Loving this, because GENG...
They see it, though.
Yeah, they know, but like they've lost so much control. BDD does have teleport available, and I'm happy that Breon at the very least is doing things, because it feels to me, Valdez, like GENG's trying to do the same thing they did in game 1, where they had a huge draft gap, an incredible teamfight comp, and a lead. Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
You'll have it,
Just,
it's Drake.
Yeah, just an item CD. But I suppose they delay the back on top of it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I mean, there's already so much control around the Baron side, and as for Breon, you can now not be afraid that GENG might go for, you know, you can take the second Drake, we'll take Baron, which at this point, not a great trade, even though it is a second Infernal. If you get Soul Point, I think it might be for just the Drake, not really quite there, but with the amount of vision available for them, not applicable whatsoever. And we talked about the pressure that Hoya's in the side lane. Lava is the same. So GENG is desperately looking for a fight, but then if the rest of Fred Brian just play it really slow, really carefully, they're in a great spot. And GENG, it feels like they're kind of floundering. Now this Drake should provide them with the immediate pressure. Boyaz rotating over, 3/4 of a full Narbar.
Yeah, and they need Rascal here. They need this AP cannon in the fight. He is going to be a huge piece if they want to have a chance of trying to win any of these fights, especially with Mega Gnar starting here. The Gnar Boomerang starts up the Infernal on the backswing. Not 100% sure if that was on purpose, but it looked cool. GENG just going to commit to it here. We're going to go for a bit of a 50-50, and it will go the way of GENG. Clip gets the smite, but immediately down goes the set. So GENG say we just got to get the hell out of here. The flashes will come. And it looks like Clit is going to be in a bit of trouble. He's trying to charge away onto some minions. He actually does have the Orianna there. And that wrap around the wall is too much for Bro to catch up. So GENG, they sneak away the Infernal and they get away with most of their lives.
And now the real question is, can Fred Brian make a play on Baron, or are they just going to shove in mid, maybe get some damage on the turret, but not get a lot more? Because they do have okay vision control. There's no vision. There is the Realm Warp. I'm loving this play. Try and get as much out as you can, Fred Brian.
And there is vision, so they do know. But question is, you know, do they care? All 5 members of GENG are coming in, and life is available. He's got his flash. Yeah, I don't know about this one for Fred Brian. They're trying to hold the Phalanx here. They get the root down onto life, but it is a set. But look at the poke that comes out of the Gnar into the wall is gigantic, as he's going to be able to pick up 3. A triple kill for the Rise of all people. And now Ruler is left all alone here in the jungle. No way for him to get away. Only BDD lives, and the turn is perfect from Fred Brian, and they will get this Baron.
Umti flashing the Jin Air green wings out there. And what a beautiful play. Because Fred Brian, they know the moment that we start this Baron, I don't even think they necessarily wanted to. They just want GENG to run into them. They were more than ready for it, and the turn is just beautiful. Hoya getting that 3-man knockup. Delight jumping into extended, and then Lava says, thank you very much. Everyone lined up. Let's knock him down. And now this feels like a really hard game, and just look at this play from Hoya. That'll win you a team fight.
Yeah.
And off to the side, BBD and Ruler, they can't really do anything here. There's just not that much to be done, and as mentioned previously, it's just they're ready for this, right? Like, they want to make this play. They know that there's going to be an attempt to collapse upon them when they're in the pit. And Fred Brian, they might not have the greatest record, but their team fighting has been impeccable. It's been one of the main reasons why when they go in on relatively even footing, they've won a lot of matches. Maybe not as many series as, oh, Hoya, that's not good.
Okay. Stopwatch comes out for, I really don't know the reason. 2v1, that's just going to be a straight up kill. Probably should have held on to that for the next team fight, but it is what it is. You know, maybe trying to buy some time, give him the benefit of the doubt, as this team is pushing in with Baron. It does mean that 2 members of GENG will be out of position to potentially defend for a little bit longer of a time. And the push will continue.
You of all people, of course, not happy about misuse of stopwatch.
Yeah, you know, I just...
I think there might be 2 possible explanations outside of just a mistake. Also possible that he was building it into a GA, obviously not the case, looking at the itemization here. Or there was a situation in which maybe Lava was going to teleport because he did have it available. And if you know the positions of everyone else on GENG, that might work out. You can actually win that 2v2, although it's not very likely. Because imagine a Rise here, right? Like, Hoya is still relatively tanky, but...
The Rise is pretty huge, though, so...
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, if Lava teleports in, maybe there's a way, right, for them to win that.
For sure.
But he doesn't, so then it just looks kind of silly. Has now sold it. And GENG holding on. 1 minute. Baron buff will be timed out. You have no map control, so I think this one is definitely not happening. But the next one in 6 minutes, that's the one you need. That's the one you want to get. Unless Fred Brian somehow massively dropped the ball here, but do not expect that to happen, as that is a Fed Hannah, we haven't really talked about Hannah at all yet, because he's been very low-key. But I think this is where you want to be as lethality various. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm not the target. You need to go for a rise. And then you just stand there and keep shooting arrows.
Yeah. It's one of the... I remember when we had so many dive comps picked and teams would still pick Varus into it, and I was like, what is going on? But actually, they would pick a bunch of dive themselves, and it's like, well, if we get ahead, there's so many other problems for the enemy team to deal with that it just creates space naturally for the squishy backline. And we're definitely seeing a little bit of that here. He has been very consistent with his piercing arrows.
Oh, GENG, are they looking to contest?
They really are.
Oh, no. I don't know about that one.
Life's got a interesting angle. He's actually considering getting in on this one, but we saw this before. I mean, the Rise has infinite lockdown, and now we're at the Wellmore coming in. Everybody else on the side of GENG is just going to get caught. Brian immediately call their bluff and say, what are you doing here? And they will absolutely knock him down. Looking for Clit as well. Want to get this jungler 100% out before they do go for this objective. That looks like he should be going down eventually here.
Yeah, I was like, is he going to ult or flash and like try to extend it? No. And this is, what we're seeing here is the reason why GENG is having such a rough round 2. There is no reason for you to contest. This is not a Drake that is going to give your opponent soul or even soul point. You are a considerably far amount behind in terms of gold, in terms of current itemization and finishes. And there's just no need. And then the execution, if that's great, then you can excuse that, right? If there's a really good angle, but it just feels like desperation. Look at the ultimate that's going to come through from BDD. It's nothing but that. They're not grouped up, you know? If this is a situation where Life finds three people and gets them together and you get your wombo combo, but Cannon isn't even here because GENG immediately realized, oh no, we've made a mistake, right? We should have not gone for this. And with the lack of vision on the bot side jungle, you can't really make a play. You don't have enough information to know where your opponents are. And it is now, instead of just giving over a second Drake, which is not great, but you know, it's not the end of the world, you give over 3 kills for free.
Yeah, and now it's an 8,000 gold lead. So
yep.
Actually, 9,000 when I do look at it. And it's pretty rough at this point in time. I mean, we've seen 2 engages in a row as well, where Life is trying to be a frontline, trying to be a ball carrier, trying to get things going for his team. He runs straight into the 2-second route from the Rise, into immediately Everfrost comes in, into Chains of Corruption, into Rakan, Gnar. Like, if anyone is running straight at Brian, the Rise just laughs at you as he roots you for like 8,000 seconds.
I don't envy Life's position here, because this is also somewhat the reality of GENG's composition when you have no map control. If you're slightly behind, you can still be fine if you have any wards, any flanking capabilities. But what's happened here is they don't have any option for flanks, because Fred and Brian don't leave any wards open, or there's no opportunity rather to get deep wards. And they have vision everywhere. So even if they walk up, Rascal can never find an opportunity. And then you look at the GENG comp, and beside an arrow, what do you do to start a fight? Not a lot. And that can't happen because Fred and Brian's side lane pressure is insane. Both Hoya and Lava are unanswerable threats in that side lane. So it's understandable what's happening here with GENG, considering that they need to do something. It's just when they choose to actually go for the plays that I think is not quite the call, you know. And I know we give GENG a lot of flack for just sitting in base and scaling and trying to make it work that way. But in this case, you actually need to do that because Fred and Brian are playing incredible.
Yeah.
Hoya's sitting there as well.
And you see the damage that they have even with just 2 people on the Baron. Look at Clit. He's like, do I go in? I don't think so. And now we have Meganar up on the top side. You need to turn tail and run as fast as you possibly can because Hoya's angry and we have teleport in the top side. You could just delay their backs and try to 4v5 push them away and maybe even take an inhibitor here as Lava.
It's really well played from Fred and Brian, and with how far ahead they are. And now also finishing the Ghost Blade. That's not an item I've seen in a really long time. But it does make sense, because as mentioned previously, I think GENG's engage is relatively lackluster, and if you're able to just kite away from it, kite back, use that Ghost Blade passive, especially when you use the active as well and you have your Swifties available, you're very speedy. And you're also, again, you're not really the threat. You're one of the threats, but not the biggest one. GENG looking to try and pick someone off, but I gotta say, Fred and Brian are making a strong case for this not quite yet being the final game yet, with an immense lead. Really nicely played team fights. There is live.
Finally, we have a flank. Meganar, though, is available, and immediately GENG are like, actually, no. Actually, never mind. We were just kidding. Please don't hit me. Yeah, Fred and Brian just, they continue with their Baron push. They have Meganar available now. Hoya can step up. This will easily net them a couple of inhibitors, if not more than that at this point. Bottom lane getting pretty close, and you see Hoya is running on down. He already did his job by standing there on the Meganar. Now he can back off, push the lane, and maybe get even more value out of this Baron.
And what I'm also loving for Fred and Brian, and it's a look we don't always see from them, because very often they fall behind early, relatively often, when Umti's not having a great game.
Oh, man. Oh, the Everfrost. Oh, it's enough, and the Q comes through. And that's going to be Lava shutting down his mid lane opponents just like that.
That's the Law King. Doesn't even need
Okay.
Oh.
Well. Yeah, I think we can pack it up and go to game 3 now. It's time to move on to the next one. Ruler is going to get engaged upon here alongside of Rascal, who thankfully for him has his flash, but it's probably still not going to matter. Gets walloped into his death. And the white flag is raised by Delight. He says, you guys got to surrender now. And they will. Game 3 will happen. Fred